You know that feeling, right? When you've got this huge goal, something you really want,
Hmm.
but it just feels so massive, you kind of freeze up, almost like paralysis?
Oh, totally. It's that classic overwhelm. The size of the dream actually stops you from even starting.
Yeah. And that's what we're diving into today, looking at this really interesting take from a YouTube video transcript.
Right by Sleepy Charlie, called The Mindset That Changed My Life Immediately. Covers late 2023 to Feb this year.
Exactly. And the core thing that jumped out at me was this idea of the one wall. Not like physical obstacles, but our own head.
Yeah, our mindset. How often are we the ones actually standing in our own way? It's a great point.
It makes you think, doesn't it? All those internal stories we tell ourselves.
Mm.
Fear, perfectionism.
Absolutely. They can be way more limiting than, actual lack of time or resources sometimes. It's about, like, do we feel we can act, or are we waiting for everything to be perfect, which never
Mm.
happens?
Okay, so let's get into the creator's story. They mentioned hitting rock bottom, basically, late December 2023. Just feeling miserable, stuck.
And you're just sort of hoping things would change on their own. That passivity, it's so easy to fall into.
So relatable. And then comes the spiral, right? The overthinking.
You map out the entire journey, every single tiny step, and suddenly it's this monumental task.
And boom, overwhelm kicks in. The creator mentions scrolling Instagram.
The perfect escape, isn't it? Avoid the hard thing, do something mindless. We've all been there.
Definitely. But then a shift. Simple advice, apparently from their mom.
Yeah, just take one step every day.
It sounds almost too simple. Like, is that it?
Well, maybe. But think about climbing a mountain, that analogy they use. You don't stare at the summit the whole time.
Right. You focus on where to put your foot next.
Exactly. Break it down. Just the very next step. It kind of bypasses that feeling of being completely swamped.
And the step doesn't have to be huge, right? It can be tiny. Why is that bit so crucial?
Because it makes it doable. It lowers that activation energy.
Yeah.
Getting started is often the hardest bit.
Okay.
So if the first step is ridiculously easy, you're more likely to actually do it. And like they say, the discomfort of that tiny action is way less than that.
Yeah.
Was it slow, never-ending subconscious discomfort of remaining dormant?
Wow, that phrase really hits. That constant low-level awfulness of not doing the thing.
Yeah, that nagging feeling can be more draining than just taking one small action.
And it's flexible too. Some days you might manage more, maybe 3 steps like they mentioned.
Yeah.
But even on bad days, just one keeps the momentum. It's about the consistency. Yeah, not
Yeah.
the size of the step.
Precisely. Consistency over intensity. That's
Yeah.
where the magic happens, the cumulative effect.
Like compound interest for your goals.
Exactly. Each small step builds on the last.
Mm.
It adds up. And the creator felt that shift immediately, not like overnight success.
Yeah, but a shift away from inaction towards having a purpose again.
Right. Purpose through daily progress. It counters that feeling of being lost.
Yeah. So the big picture is you need those small, consistent changes to make the big life changes happen. It's about tricking your brain out of overwhelm.
It really is. Focusing on the immediate, manageable thing you can do right now.
Okay, so wrapping up, the core takeaway seems to be just the power of one single step every day, making it uncomplicated.
It really boils down to that. Outsmarting that paralysis by making the first move incredibly small.
Which brings us to the final thought for you listening.
Yeah, think about that goal, the one that feels huge, maybe a bit scary right now. What's one tiny thing, maybe almost laughably small, you could do towards it today?
Just one uncomplicated step. What would that be for you?